sometimes the people that are so brilliant technically are not the most socially capable people.
We have an amazing remote team.
It's getting there early and having conversations about, okay, what do you think the next leader of your company should have, especially someone who is a family member?
I attribute my ability to communicate relatively well, not perfect, with others as one of the biggest things that has helped me in my career.
But we were surrounded by so many incredible other business owners and financial advisors.
You want to surround yourself with people that, again, I think are driven and love the things that you love to do personally, but also have that drive and that work ethic so that you have other things to talk to them about too.
Welcome to The Business Game, a podcast that moves the needle. Hey guys, before we get started today, just a really quick moment to thank one of our sponsors, SmoothX. Their integration platform connects Proposal, Xero, QuickBooks, and more. Trusted by over 1,000 clients globally, and you can be operational in under 30 minutes. Visit smoothx.com to simplify your workflows, and thanks again to SmoothX for sponsoring The Business Game.
I was having a look around on your website, and I saw that you were talking about these brilliant technical minds that often struggle with interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
Can you share a specific story that crystallized that for you? Is there something that comes to mind that was the light bulb moment where you went, oh my goodness, this is where people are falling down and I can help? Or is it a gradual realization?
There's a seed that got planted while I was at Tech, and then it grew over time over my career, and then the realization over time dawned on me. But the seed that was planted is, I was telling my son, who's 8, he's a senior in high school, getting ready to go to start college next year. And I was telling him that, I opened and closed the library. I wasn't the smartest kid in the room, but you weren't going to outwork me. That was for sure.
Yeah.
And I did really good on my exams at Tech. I had really good grades and did well on all the exams. But I would never get the top grade in the class. And at first it bothered me. And then I realized, and true story, so I hope nobody gets offended, but I realized that the person that was the 2 or 3 people that were scoring higher than me every time, they weren't studying because they were just that smart. And then I also realized they wore the same clothes every day for a week.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a date. I had a date that weekend, and I said, I think I'll shave a few IQ points for some social skills.
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah,
so that was the seed that got planted is, there's a stereotype in there, but there's a grain of truth as well, right? That sometimes the people that are so brilliant technically are not the most socially capable people.
Mm-hmm.
In my career of teaching classes and working with clients on projects, it came to I would teach a project management class, which is about process and people, right? Because people do projects. And over time, I noticed that I was spending more and more time answering questions and talking about the communication, conversation, people side of planning than I was the blocking and tackling of do A first for 5 days, then B second for 10 days, and the total is 15 days. Both are important to do project work, but I found that, software may help you with the process side. It does not help you with the people side.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say that Steve, I work on a project, and let's say, Steve, you and I have worked together for 10 years and I never actually met you before today. And all I know is when I do my task, I email it to Steve at acmecorporations.com, and you do some sprinkle pexi dust on it and you sell it and we make a lot of money, right? Everybody's happy. Yeah. So this week I have 15 different things I'm doing for other projects, including the one for you. And it's Friday at 7:00 at night. I'm tired. I haven't finished it yet, but I put in 80 hours this week and I'm like, I'm done. I just can't I'm done for the week. I didn't get to this thing for Steve, but it's next week I'll just have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, I finally get around to finishing it. So email it to you, hey, Steve, sorry this was late, but last week was crazy for me. And hope you're doing well. Talk soon. Right. And I didn't ever hear anything about it. So I think, you sprinkled your pixie dust on it and we sold it and made a lot of money. Everybody's happy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we come together and do what I'm suggesting, which is we actually have these conversations in a face-to-face situation. We're all in the room together. And what's going to happen over those 3 days is I'm going to say, hey, Steve, nice to meet you. Nice to put a name with a face. And over those 3 days, we're probably going to have coffee together, probably see each other at lunch, may sit across from each other at a team dinner. We're going to run into each other going to the restroom. We're going to have conversations. And through those conversations that are not about the project, through these conversations about who you are and who I am, I'm going to learn that you have 2 kids. Well, I have 2 kids. And, your kids play football with an FUTBOL, and my 2 kids play FOOTBALL, the American football, right? So you guys play Australian rugby, whatever. But I get to know who your kids are and what they like and what they do and what you're like. And then, so now what I'm really doing is I'm changing you from an email address for which I feel no emotional connection at all into a living, breathing human being that I do feel a connection to. So now we go back into the project management meeting, and I see that my task feeds into your task, and they're both part of this thing called the critical path, which means technically when I was late, the project should have been late. And I say, well, Steve, I think this is wrong because I remember a couple of years ago, we had a project together and I know I was a couple, 3 days late and I get, but the project still went okay. And Steve says, no, Clint, it was 3 days. I remember vividly it was 3 days because I had to work 2 weekends in a row to make up for your lateness.
Right.
And I know that Clint is 5 letters, but in my household, you were a 4-letter word for those 2 weekends because I had to miss my daughter's recital, my son's football game.
Right.
And so now I feel bad because, I have 2 kids and I wouldn't want to miss some big event in my kid's life because of somebody else. So what I've done is I've made you somebody that I feel a connection to. So when I go back to Atlanta and you go back to, to Queensland or wherever we're from, and you're still going to be Steve at acmecorporations.com, but you're going to be Steve with 2 kids that I don't want to let down next time.
Yeah.
Right.
So to your point, the humanity, I've humanized you.
Yes.
You're no longer just this thing I have no connection with. Now I actually have a connection to you and you're somebody I want to make sure I don't let you down next time.
What sort of steps in that case, if you are sort of trying to invest in the next or the next generation of your business within a family structure, what are the sort of steps that you would recommend to set up, the governance and, structure so that those pieces don't become afterthoughts?
Yeah. And again, a lot of the stuff I say is very simple. It's just not easy to do.
Right.
One is you have to be intentional about it. And being intentional about it is a two-way street. It means you have to communicate with the people who you're looking at as the next leaders. It's not like one day you wake up 7 years later after you've been thinking about this and say, hey, surprise, you're my next leader. It doesn't work that way.
Right. Right.
It's getting there early and having conversations about, okay, what do you think the next leader of your company should have, especially someone who is a family member? Should they have a formal education? Should they be an intern here? Should they have started at the bottom and worked their way up? Should they go to college, go work somewhere else, and then they can come here? So, and you've heard about all these different things that different family businesses do, but really having conversations about what does this look like? And then what kind of support do they need? I mean, after they do those things, that can't be it.
Right.
There was one company I worked with, which we kind of put together like a junior management leadership rotation in their company, just like some corporations do for undergraduates or MBA students who graduate, come into their company, learn how the company works for, say, 18 months, rotating through different departments. And so we did that in one of the companies. The number one thing I hear from the kids is, I need more time with my mom. I need more time with my dad. I need more time with my uncle. And so once in a while, I'll hear from that mom, dad, uncle, that current leader of, well, I'm not really a coach, or I'm not really a teacher. Like, you don't need to be a coach or a teacher. You don't even need to be a mentor. Just having them around so they can ask you questions.
And what do you think are there consistent early red flags, for anybody who is a business owner, coaching a team, leading a team? What are the consistent red flags that you come across for founders or within companies, I suppose?
It's a good question, Rob, because someone sitting here listening to this, might go, oh, am I like that or not?
No, I think I'm fine.
And you go, well, there's this and this,
What are they? What are the red flags, like personal life or business, that can sort of, both, that people can spot before they hit the valley?
And I guess what we're saying is if someone's sitting down in front of you, you go, oh man, you tick all the boxes, and I can help you.
I am here at exactly the right time.
Yeah, I would say 4 out of 5 times what I hear from somebody who calls me is, somebody told me this, right?
Yeah, okay.
And it's like, spouse or significant other, somebody on their leadership team that they really trust. In fact, they actually look up to, even though they're a direct report. Those are probably the two biggest ones. Once in a while, I will have a serial founder, family business owner who is in a peer group, which, by the way, I'm a big advocate of peer groups, is in a peer group, and somebody in their peer group pulls them aside and says, you've been talking about this thing for so long. It's about time you do something about this.
Right.
So red flag number one is you've got people who love you, who admire you, who work with you, and who you trust are telling you there's something that you have to do different.
If you don't have salesmanship, the ability to communicate well with others, you don't have to be an extrovert. You don't have to have all the qualities of a salesperson, but you have to be able to sell your idea to someone else. It might be you're in a product role, whatever it is. I attribute my ability to communicate relatively well, not perfect, with others as one of the biggest things that has helped me in my career.
Yep.
And that contributes to my salesmanship, whether that's internal to a company or outside getting customers. So working hard, getting customers, getting them to believe in me, and building friends.
Yep.
It's not just salesmanship. And I love it when people say, oh, you're lucky. Yeah, good luck with luck. So you're not lucky. You work hard and you meet the right people and you choose. And you know how you meet the right people? You keep meeting new people. And you just meet a ton of people. And then certainly in all those tons of people, you're going to meet a couple that are great.
Yeah.
And then help you out. The human side means, how do you treat somebody like they want to be treated? The golden rule. And, that seems such a common sense thing to do. How do you treat a team the way they really feel as if they're a part of something? And it's amazingly not common sense for so many leaders. And unfortunately, I've worked with a couple of those where you meet those people and you can tell immediately, I don't know what's wrong with them. They don't understand how to win over, back to salesmanship.
Right.
They don't know how to win over that team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they don't treat them with the respect and dignity that they need to feel as if they're adding value to the organization.
Your year of biggest revenue growth. So, so what were I'm really curious, what were the key decisions or the innovations or the cultural shifts that unlocked that success and allowed the money to come in?
Absolutely. Number one, without question and without rehearsal, is the team. The team that you have and that you build and the culture that you put behind them to go and win and help them out along the path and getting out of their way with all the BS. That is the number one thing. You can have all the cutesy technology stuff. You can do all these great things. You can build your go-to-market strategy, I believe now, and this is before this all existed, with all your AI components. That's all great. And I believe in a lot of those. But again, before they even existed, it was the team that got it done. And so my biggest revenue year was a huge growth, and we probably had 70 people in business development on that team, and freaking crushed it.
Amazing.
It's because each person dug in and was able to really understand how to go and get the goal, and they felt as if they were doing something bigger. And I'm not just speaking to faith again. That's not where I'm taking it. I mean, they wanted to win so that they saw their name on the scoreboard, and and they contributed. And yeah, they wanted the big paycheck, and a lot of them made a lot of money, but they wanted more than that. They wanted to be on the scoreboard, and that feeling of getting on the scoreboard and high-fiving others along the way, there is nothing better than that. And that is a culture of not just winning, but a culture of fun.
Yeah.
And so that's what does it. That's the tool.
Yeah.
Just on that, because the people thing's really important, but have you got a little tip about what you look for when you're hiring someone?
Oh, yeah. Number one is the beer test, which sounds totally inappropriate. But the beer test is, do I want to have a beer with you?
Right.
If I stomach the idea of having a beer with you, one beer, if I can't handle one beer with you, I do not want to work with you.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's, a really simple way to condense down, whether somebody's going to fit your culture, whether they're somebody that you personally can work with.
I love that. The beer test.
The beer test.
Pass the beer
Throw
test.
the resume in the trash can.
Yeah, right.
That's the number one thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey guys, just a quick break to thank our affiliate partner, HubSpot. We are thrilled to announce our partnership with HubSpot. the ultimate all-in-one CRM platform. HubSpot helps you streamline marketing, sales, and customer service with powerful tools to grow your business faster. From lead generation to automations, it's got you covered. By using the link in the description, you not only get to start your HubSpot journey for free, but you'll also be supporting our work here on the show. Now it's back to today's episode.
And how did you start the processes of building your business?
Well, I mean, our origin story for Tame Financial Group started a little over a year ago. We were actually away together on conference.
Yep.
In Bali, beautiful tropical landscape.
Oh, nice.
It was terrible.
Yeah. That must have been hard.
You know,
It was rough.
We survived but we were surrounded by so many incredible other business owners and financial advisors. And we were there representing the business that we worked for. And at the end of the conference, we had all this information that we were going to take back to our practice and implement that. But we just started having these really organic, authentic conversations with other people that we'd met. And they started asking us questions like, who are you? What do you do? What do you want to do? Would you ever consider starting your own business? And we both kind of looked at each other and said, no.
Scary.
And
So scary.
Scary.
They said, why? And we both went, I don't quite have an answer for that.
Yeah.
And that little thought just planted the seed into something that just grew and grew and grew. And then I had all the confidence that Megan could start a financial planning business, be amazing at it. I could never do it. I'll come and work for you. And then once again, I think it was just that lack of confidence that I had internally, and that dialogue that I, subconsciously had over the years that I'm happy to do what I'm doing. And then it just started growing and growing. And it was almost like once that idea started and we started talking about it, we spoke to husbands about it, and we thought, oh my gosh, I think we could actually do this. I think we could do it together, and I think we would be amazing. And then just to build that confidence, and we surrounded ourselves with some friends, family, and kind of industry mentors that gave us that pathway to go from an idea into what we actually needed to do to make it happen realistically.
What specific strategies have you implemented to build trust and long-term relationships with clients in an industry where there is skepticism about financial advisors in common? And how can other service-related businesses follow these principles?
Yeah, look, I think this one's easy for us. Just be authentic.
Yep.
Be able to be really honest with your clients. Don't tell people that you can do things that you can't do. Be okay saying, that's not us, we're not a good fit, whatever it may be. There is no point over-promising and under-delivering something. We're always the other way. So, I just think authenticity is such a huge thing, particularly in our profession, because there has obviously been so many things that have happened in the past. And it's one of the things that we're sort of out there to change people's perception of, financial advisors and what they look like and how they act and all of those sorts of things. We are a little bit different and we're happy with that. We actually like it. But authenticity is a massive thing. And I think that goes across any service-based business.
I'll ask a little bit about your systems. Have you developed some processes, and how has your team got involved with it as well?
Yeah, we have an incredible remote team, but I think one of the biggest things, and it's quite funny, I was reflecting on this, when I left my job it was February last year, and then Ben came full time around June, and we're like, oh, we've got, what you kind of figure out very quickly is you've been kind of just plastering over the cracks. And we always talked about, we have a house of draw, and how do we get to a house of sticks, and then how do we get to a house of bricks? And so it's taken a very long time. And I think we have an amazing remote team. We very much built a lean team of freelancers. So it's still just Ben and I as full-time employees.
Sure.
We've been able to take the business to, 4 million in revenue in year 3. And
wow.
I think now, though, it's about building an actual culture and people who are invested in as much as us. Maybe the kind of rushing into just hiring people for the sake of having people to support us and not being clear or understanding exactly what we needed at the time has probably now got us to a situation where, I've kind of need to work out actually what do we need, and almost not start again, because I want to keep our lovely team, but
actually get a lot clearer about what we need and be specific about it?
So I became the CEO after a founder that had done an incredible job of building an amazing culture and sustaining the company through really bootstrapping the business, not much external capital to keep the company afloat and to help it grow. And there was an existing leadership team that had done that as a part of the founder. And so that was the difficult part, was really thinking about how do you combine some new resources in the leadership team with the folks that have this institutional knowledge, and how do you combine those two, and being thoughtful about that. An embarrassing but honest story is in my first board meeting with our private equity sponsors, they talked a lot about, these people have gotten you here, but will they get you to where you need to go?
Yeah.
And in, self-reflection, I knew the answer was likely that some people were going to have to go.
Yeah.
And I started crying in a board meeting with all men around the table. And, I was just, I still could beat myself up about that situation. And they were very supportive, while also knowing that I needed to think about what and how do I build the right team that will take us to where we need to go. And so, those are always the hardest things that you have to do, or how to have hard conversations and make the hard calls that no one else wants to do. And, you learn that quickly, that the faster you can make those decisions, the better off you'll be. And someone said to me, when there's doubt, there's no doubt. And it is true. If you have any doubt about someone, it's probably inevitable anyway. And so the faster you can move on those key hiring decisions, usually the better off.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this is probably a good segue into building high trust leadership. And to me, it sounds like that's something that's probably at the forefront of your mind, having your team trust you just in the way that you're speaking and the thought processes that you put behind what your actions for your team. But in private capital, relationships are everything. How do you build trust with clients and your team in a way that drives long-term loyalty?
So one of our core values is trust and transparency. And I do feel like that is paramount, even with the board, for example. Yep. So, if there's bad news that I have to deliver to the board, between the board and myself, we have built such trust that I feel completely comfortable being as transparent as I need to. They're the first call that I give. I'm not dreading giving them bad news. Like, you should be surrounding yourself with the type of professional that you want to become. And women love to help other women. They do.
Yeah.
But we can also sometimes be put inadvertently in a competitive environment. And so I think the more you can identify the women that are there to say, there's room for all of us. There's room for, for all of us to be there, having a seat at the table. It's not competition. It is better that we're in this together, the more successful you're going to be. And so I'm always looking through that lens of, is this person an eagle? Like, would I be proud to say this is my friend? Or, I go back to my YPO network, and, I'm surrounded by such amazing entrepreneurs that have accomplished so many things, and they're great mentors to me. And I always think, is this someone that I'd be excited to bring to a networking event that that I'm proud of? And that's, kind of the lens that you want to be thinking through. Why would we surround ourselves with people that are bringing us down or aren't rooting for our best interest? And I want to be doing the same for them. So I think that's a good and easy lens to be thinking through when you're looking at your professional and your personal network, for that matter. Is everyone on Sundays, are they buckling in for a big week, or are they, partying all day, which is completely fine if that's the phase of life that you're in, or, but you have to be thinking about, I'd love to find friends that want to hike on Sunday, or, do something, maybe we go out for brunch, but then we're, doing something different later on in the day. And trying to balance those things, I think, are important around, again, you want to surround yourself with people that, again, are driven and love the things that you love to do personally, but also have that drive and that work ethic, so that you have other things to talk to them about too.
To help support our continued mission to provide free, best-in-class advice from the world's most compelling business leaders, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you never miss an episode. See you next Thursday. Thanks for tuning in to The Business Game. If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to stay connected. A big thank you to our major sponsor, SmoothX, for powering today's episode. And join us again on the next episode for Business Game, a podcast that moves the needle.